Cynthia Ng. Vaccination drive kicks off tomorrow. What to expect? And immigration deports Myanmar nationals despite a court order to halt the move. That's coming up. Malaysia's national COVID-19 immunization program will kick off tomorrow. First in line to receive the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines are Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah alongside frontliners. The question now centers around how to implement the program in an effective, sustained and equitable manner. Health Policies Specialist Dr. Kwa Swee Keng underscores three main hurdles to keep an eye out for.
In the micro sense, there were several hurdles in front of us. Firstly is to ensure that those vaccines are safely transported out to the 605 vaccination centers distributed across Malaysia. Secondly, to ensure that the people who are providing those vaccines that we call vaccinators are appropriately trained and they will be able to administer the vaccine safely, effectively and without any wastage. Thirdly is to ensure that there is enough vaccine confidence in the population that they will sign up to receive the vaccine when it's their time to receive the vaccine. But there are other longer term considerations as well, notably to ensure that Malaysia has an adequate supply of vaccines in the coming few weeks and months. Finally, in terms of the implementation, is to ensure that there is an equitable distribution. What I mean to say is, we want as many people as possible who are at high risk to receive the vaccine as early as possible. There will be a period of time where everybody lobbies to become a frontliner. Everybody believes that they should be front of the queue. Then the government will have to make a very difficult decision. Should teachers be prioritized over media workers, or should media workers be prioritized over senior citizens, or should senior citizens be prioritized over supermarket workers? And these are all important stakeholders and important population groups. To make these decisions about which group goes first, we need a framework. And that framework needs to be built by the government so that we can appropriately prioritize the population groups who should receive the vaccines first. These are the micro elements of the implementation.
Kaur also points out the need to have a clear big picture strategy for the vaccination program.
At the moment, it is still not immediately clear what are the strategic outcomes of the vaccination program. We know that we need to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible, but how does the vaccination program tie in with the entire public health response? The pandemic response cannot just rely on the vaccination program, because testing, tracing, isolation strategies and healthcare are equally important components of the pandemic response. And the second component to consider whenever we're looking at the vaccination program is to look at what are key performance indicators, or KPIs, or you can call them metrics to measure success. How do we know that the vaccination program has been successful? And there could be some criteria, for example, the number of people who've been vaccinated, a documented drop in the number of cases and infections, fewer admissions to hospitals, and so on. So these are metrics of success that at some point we need to clarify for ourselves so that we can measure the success of the vaccination program.
The vaccine. Coordinating Minister for National COVID-19 Immunization Program, Khairi Jamaluddin, said the vaccine produced in Belgium was scheduled to arrive via KLIA in the morning from Singapore.
The second batch, comprising 182,520 doses, will be distributed to Kedah, Melaka, Negeri Sembilan and Perak tomorrow, while Pahang, Terengganu, Kelantan, Sabah, Sarawak and the Federal Territory of Labuan will receive the supply on Thursday, February 25th. The first batch of 312,390 doses of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine safely arrived in Malaysia through the national entry points at KLIA Sepang, Johor and Penang on February 21st.
Malaysia's Immigration Department had carried out a repatriation program involving 1,086 Myanmar nationals despite an earlier court order to temporarily halt their deportation. The group was sent back on 3 Myanmar Navy ships. The Immigration Department said the group did not include ethnic Rohingya, refugees or asylum seekers. The Myanmar nationals were undocumented migrants who were detained at department depots nationwide since last year, adding that they had agreed to be deported willingly. Earlier, the High Court allowed a temporary stay of deportation of 1,200 Myanmar nationals who were scheduled to be sent back today. The stay was granted until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, when the court will hear an application for judicial review to suspend the deportation. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Hidup penuh jenaka on demand.
You're too skinny. Stop calling daddy then.
Are you holding it apart?
My hair.
Whoa.
Dan terus ketawa demi
Bila sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupasan yang terkini. Tiada drama dan tiada pengulangan. Usah tunggu lama-lama. AWANI itu.
Welcome back. As a political party, being part of the ruling coalition offers better access to influence policy making and allocate resources for the people. As the newest kid on the block in Berita Nasional, Garakan wants to promote moderation and help the government face one of the toughest challenges facing our country. We speak to Garakan President Datuk Dr. Dominic Lau to find out the party's vision.
To us, to Party Garakan, now the biggest challenge of our country is facing the COVID-19 pandemic. And then I think our view or our stand is the political stability is the priority in order for us to face the challenge of the pandemic. And second, also we believe in the chairman of the Berita Nasional, who's also the Prime Minister's, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. We trusted Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, and then we can see Tan Sri Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri really promotes the mature politics by accepting all the differences, and also Tan Sri also allowing the country to move forward without unnecessary politicking.
With that in mind, what are the gaps in the current political landscape that Garakan aims to address?
First thing first, as I say, that Garakan is a non-ethnic political party. We are not a race-based political party. So that's why we don't identify ourselves with race A or race B. We are Malaysians, okay? And then, of course, when we are in Berita Nasional, we always try to be the cornerstones to promote our ideologies of the moderations and all inclusiveness.
On to international news. Facebook announced it will restore news content to its users in Australia. Facebook said it reached a deal with the government to amend a proposed legislation that would force tech platforms to pay news publishers for content.
Meanwhile, Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg had told him the ban would end in the coming days following talks over the weekend. The compromise was reached at the 11th hour as the legislation is debated in the Senate. The changes mean the government may not apply the law to Facebook if the company can demonstrate it has signed enough deals with the media outlets to pay them for content. Facebook blocked news to Australia on its platform since last Thursday amid dispute over the proposed law.
Thailand will start vaccinating priority groups, including health workers, against COVID-19 by the end of this week. The country will receive the first 200,000 out of 2 million doses of Sinovac's CoronaVac tomorrow.
The emergency use authorization of Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine was given on Monday. According to Thailand's COVID-19 task force, the vaccines will be given to priority groups in 13 provinces, with more than half earmarked for Samut Sakhon, the epicenter of Thailand's latest outbreak, and the capital Bangkok. Another 800,000 more doses will arrive in March and the remaining 1 million doses in April.
Tonight on Consider This, we take a closer look at the recent court verdict that fined Malaysia Terkini over comments made by its readers on the portal. What are the wider implications of the verdict, especially to local media landscape? And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.
The third wave of COVID-19